Okay guys, hey and welcome to the stream. Sorry for being late. I hope you can hear me. Maybe someone in the chat can say if you can hear me or not. Okay, awesome, thanks. So yeah, for the stream I'm a bit unprepared and I didn't really know what to do material-wise, so I thought let's just maybe take a look at ArtStation, what's currently trending material-wise, and I saw this one. This looks quite interesting. So the shapes are quite nice and it's something simple. I don't want to stream for too long, but yeah, let's try to make something like that. I probably won't do the leaves, and yeah, maybe the moss only with those yeah, concrete tiles. It's from Katai Ishii, so if you want to check it out. And yeah, I say let's just start. And yeah, I already hear an InstaMAT. And yeah, the shape is a bit tricky. Let's maybe start with a shape generator. And let's turn it into a circle. And yeah, let's just duplicate this, as we probably need one more. To see what I'm doing here. I'm blending it over and subtract that from my initial shape. Let's go to transform and mirror it on X. I think we are quite close already. Let's maybe adjust it a bit. Yeah, I won't look on the reference anymore. So I think I know what to do. And I don't want to redo it one-to-one, but maybe do it a bit differently as well. But something like that. So I think the shape looks quite okay. Can adjust it later. And yeah, I'll use the tile scatter here. Let's go to orientation and reduce the variance to 0 as well as the position offset. Now let's see. Do we need outrow? Probably. So let's do 0.5. Let's do a few more, maybe 8. And adjust the size. Yeah, this will be a bit fiddly, I think. I have auto levels here. So let's see. We need some more on one axis. At the color or the blend mode to maximum. And let's see if we can adjust it so that it looks good. Not quite there. Yeah, I think we are getting there. Let's make that a bit bigger. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Maybe a bit more of adjustments. Yeah, let's keep it as is. I think it looks okay. Maybe the gaps are still a bit too big. Yeah, maybe like that. Maybe we can adjust the shape a bit. Let's just duplicate this one and blend that over and subtract that. This might look nicer. We can always override the settings. Quite a tricky shape, actually. I don't know if we have something pre-built in the library, but I try to do it by hand. Yeah, like this maybe. I think that's good enough. And again, if you have any questions, you can just ask in the comments. I'm keeping an eye on them. Let's maybe bevel this a bit. Yeah, inwards. That's a bit much. Just slightly. I think I don't have any displacement on. Yeah, way better. Maybe we can already give those tiles a bit of texture as well. Let's use the tile node. And maybe bevel that as well a bit. That looks good. Let's subtract. Oh, actually multiply. Let's adjust the tile count a bit. Ah, the bevel breaks it. So maybe let's get rid of this bevel as well. And then just blur it slightly. Maybe by 4%. That's a bit much. But I think we have a bit too many of those details. So let's reduce the count. Maybe adjust the blend a bit. Maybe like this. And again, I'm totally unprepared. And yeah, I like to take my time for materials, so this is something a bit new to me. Let's use a flood fill to get a bit of height and slope variance. So we use flood fill, then flood fill to color. Let's set it to grayscale. And we also use the flood fill to gradient. and set the angle variance to 1. Then we can just blend it with our initial shape. So I use multiply for that. Just slightly, so we don't have too big of an effect. We just want to have a bit of, yeah, it shouldn't be as technical or shouldn't look like a machine would have built that, but actual people. So there will always be a bit of variance. And it also should be a bit worn. So I blend this over as well with the multiply again. Yeah, like that. And especially when you're working on tiles or any ground that has tiles or even walls, those are actually quite nice parameters to expose. So when I expand that and expose my opacity, I will always have a parameter to adjust that. So as you can see, maybe that's a bit too much when we go to 100% because all the details are getting lost as well. So I'd probably use a blurb float node. And yeah, my maximum should be like 0.35 maybe. And I can just input my parameter into the X. And then this to opacity. And now I can use the parameter up to 100%, but it will be, clamped basically to 0.35. And we can actually do the same with this node. So I call that slope variance. And this should be height variance, right? But I don't really want to do too much with parameters. And yeah, I just try to wrap up the material as fast as I can. Because, I don't have too much time today. It's quite late here. Okay, so let's maybe add some edge wear. Or at first, let's maybe try to adjust it a bit more. Like this, maybe. Yeah, I think this looks way better and those gaps are way nicer. So yeah, to add edge wear, I'd probably use the slope blur on this one. I'm from Germany. Then use, I like this Gaussian noise. It's quite a new addition, I think, to the library. And yeah, for slope blurring, I like to use it a lot. So this will make, a bit coarser damage. Yeah, then we could just blend that. And use multiply mode. So you can see it's quite strong. Let's reduce that. And maybe also let's mask it with a clouds noise, for example. So we don't have this edge wear everywhere. So this makes it look way more organic. I use the histogram edit on this. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, so now we have quite a lot of variation and the edge wear isn't everywhere on the tiles. And additionally, I would like to have some finer edge wear. I use the same input, but let's use the fractal sum noise. And I think the scale at default 1 by 1 should be fine. I always like to increase the gamma value a bit and the interpolate as well. Then use custom gain and set it a bit higher, so we get quite a grainy noise, and this is really great for a slope blur if you want to have finer edge damage. Let's reduce that a bit. Strength 6. Sorry, I don't know what you mean. Custom grains. Ah, okay, I see. So like this, for example. Yeah, this is actually built the same way as I would build a material. So I can open this up. I cannot because I prevented this by exporting, but it's basically the same workflow as you'd do a material. As you can see, we have quite a lot of details here. And yeah, those are just those regular noises like fractal sum, clouds noises, a bit warp, and yeah, just blend it together. And I always try to add, yeah, basically some details I would like to have. So this was actually meant for a wall material, so for a dirt. Yeah, sure, you can just build it with the regular noises. Maybe I can show you on one of the those from the library. So we have the smudges crunch here, and you can open it up. So this is just built, for example, the base is a fractal sum, a sloped fractal sum. Then it's blended together, levels is used. Then you add more and more details. And yeah, at the end you basically get a nice grunge map. Hello, Coding Banana, welcome. Yeah, and like this you can just build your custom grunges and save them to the library. You could probably copy the graph and make a new one. So like you would just copy and paste it, and then you could make adjustments and save that. But actually the cool thing is that all the grunges have parameters and you can really adjust them quite nicely. So I can reduce the base detail here or add it, or the wipes. So we can basically completely transform that. Yeah, sure, you're welcome. Thanks, great to hear that. And again, I also try to make a stream now and then, so thanks for tuning in. And actually good to hear that they are helpful. Yeah, maybe let's continue here. So I do the same blend. Or actually we could just blend those together as well, with maybe an average blend. So as you can see, now we have those coarser wear combined with the finer wear. And we can use the same blend node. And this looks way more natural. Maybe multiply it a bit more. Or you could always adjust the opacity mask, so for full wear. Or a bit less. Okay, nice. Yeah, I had the idea from actually playing the game. And yeah, I hope to wrap it up maybe next week. Yeah, probably on next weekend. Yeah, indeed, the free license is great, right? Especially for indies or students even. You can just download it and check it out, learn. And yeah, just use it. Um, hey Robert, I started with Substance Designer, and yeah, the concepts are basically the same, so they apply to InstaMAT as well. And I'm now using it for, yeah, quite a lot of time already. But yeah, as soon as you get a grip of it, it's quite flows quite naturally. Yes, there's also a Pioneer license for Instalot. Actually, the workflows from Substance Painter are a bit different. It's layer based, so this would be applicable to asset texturing. And the workflows from Substance Designer are more like the element graph here where we are in currently. Yes, you could absolutely do that. So if you find a nice material, for example, that is made with Substance Designer, you can just, yeah, apply the concepts. The nodes are not the same, but yeah, they are. I'm sorry, they are comparable, and most of those, like for example, the blend node designer has that, or slope blur, directional warps, etc. But InstaMAT tends to have more options. And yeah, it's the same thing from Substance Painter to InstaMAT's asset texturing. The same concepts apply as well. Some things are named a bit different, but as soon as you know what is what, like for example, the anchor points from Substance Painter are called references in InstaMAT, but they practically work the same. So if you know one tool, you can probably use both. Yeah, and I think InstaMAT is actually really a bit more professional and advanced. Maybe not professional, but advanced. You have way more options and you can combine all the workflows and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, for example, you have this the physics simulations and stuff like that, terrain generation. So that is all are all things that the Substance suite doesn't have. And again, you can combine all of those together. Yeah, it is, right? Yeah, Instalot is awesome as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but for example, Nintendo used it on Kirby Air Riders recently, and also quite a lot of other games are using it as well. Like for example, the Hogwarts game or Gran Turismo even. Yeah, if you didn't use Substance yet, it's quite a learning curve indeed, but again, you can just check InstaMAT tutorials or even Substance tutorials and yeah, learn from that as well. Yeah, indeed, but it's quite young, so will probably take a bit of more time for more people to realize it. But yeah, you can always tell other people that it exists. I sometimes have the feeling that people actually don't know that it even exists, or that it has that much power. But yeah, it's a really powerful tool actually. Yeah, all right. Thanks for watching and have a nice day or night. Don't know what time it is for you. Actually, the data sharing isn't mandatory anymore. It was at the beginning, I think. but yeah, it's not mandatory anymore. You can always turn it off. I even don't know where it is. This one, right? You can just turn it off. So as far as I know, no data is collected. Yes, then have a great afternoon and thanks for watching. Actually, let's use something different for this. I think when you go to the website, it's InstaMAT, not LOT. And you go to pricing. Yeah, it doesn't say that you need the data sharing anymore. It used to say it in the beginning, but it's not mandatory anymore. So you can just turn it off. See if we can add some aware to that. Looks a bit big. Yeah, I mean, especially creating the low poly maps. So in Instalot, it's really just a click on a button. And yeah, this is what I always hated the most. Yeah, true. Again, you can just import it, click on optimize or remesh, and it's good to go. Let's maybe make some smaller rocks, or actually details based on small rocks. Shape not effect, but shape generator. And let's use the circle, the tile node. Let's do 6 by 6, maybe 3 by 3. Add some softness. And go to size and bump up the variance. Then maybe I can reuse this one. Let's first warp it based on a Perlin noise. And just multiply that. Oh, that's a bit too big. So I have to use a different one. I mean, I'm working as a material artist, so it's hobby and job, so to say. Maybe that's enough. And now I want to have quite a lot of those. Maybe even more. First we have like 9. So we go to pattern, set it to 9 and use the Atlas input. Like the offset variance. Thanks, great to hear that. Appreciate it. Set the color to maximum. It's a bit bigger. Maybe a few more. And then just blend it over with the tract. I think they're still too big. I want to use default here and add them on top. Yeah, they need to be way more. Maybe try 400. Ah, yeah, that's better. Maybe let's use iterate. Whoa. Great. And set that to maximum. Let's use the frequency separated option. Didn't do much, but we have a bit more variance. Don't know if it's visible on stream. Maybe we can mask that off as well. The clouds heavy noise. This one. We can use the iterate on this as well. Yeah, it's hard to see, but it's also a really slight detail. We will do a roughness pass on those. Hey, in what kind organic? I mean, you have quite a lot of noises and grunges. And I think, for example, things like the clouds heavy is the same as the clouds 2, for example. And clouds should be the same as, I think they have a clouds as well. The only thing that I noticed is that the InstaMAT ones are, yeah, way sharper if you go into designer. Those look quite blurry. So if you want to blur it out, you can just blur it out. And you have also a ton of settings here, so you can maybe try to work with those. Yeah, sure. Depends on what you want to do. I mean, stuff like the artistic 2 or grunges, I like to use them for my color and roughness pass at the end. So I tend not to use them in the material workflow. But sometimes they're good as well for that. But yeah, let's maybe get back to this. They have quite a lot of details that are good for a last pass. Okay, I want to get rid of those details where this damage here is. And maybe just try if we can use the blur and the mask option. Yeah, it's a bit better. We can use a grayscale to mask. Just slightly. Actually, and we also need to blend that in. That's actually a tricky question. I mean, I did a lot of material, so I basically know what does what. Not everything, of course, but it's often also trial and error. So you can always try things out and see if they work for you or not. But from my experience, if you a bit familiar with the software and the workflow in general, everything leads to a certain result. But yeah, tricky question. Again, it's a lot from experience as well. Don't know if I like this well. So yeah, that's maybe a good example. I tried to make some nice wear, but I'm not sure if I really like that. But we could then go in and refine it a bit. So I could use an additional slope blur node. Maybe just copy this one. No, that's the wrong one. Maybe this one. To have a bit more finer damage. There's still a bit too much details for me. So maybe like that. And then we could go in and blend in the fractal sum. So the fractal sum will give you really high frequency details. So that's often a good choice for stuff like that. Yeah, better. Now it looks a bit more like this would be concrete that is broken up. And we can always go back to, for example, the cellular noise and adjust it a bit. Yeah, indeed, that's the case. But yeah, if you use this software every day, all the time, you know certain things. I always like to clean up my graph from time to time so that I don't have any wild connections. Maybe those could use a bit more wear. Let's see. I probably need a flood fill to random direction. Nope, no roof tile. At the beginning I didn't know what to actually make, and I looked at ArtStation and I thought I'd do something like this. So that's on trending, and yeah, I thought I make something similar, as I really didn't have any idea. And I don't want to match it perfectly because I don't really have the time today. So I probably leave out the leaves and those plants. Maybe we'll do the moss, or maybe we just do yeah, a bit of soil. Okay, what did I want to do? Let's use the clouds. Yeah, indeed, it's from Katai Ishii. Don't know who this is, but it looks really nice, so I thought why not try to make something similar. I like the pattern, and it doesn't look too complicated. But it's really nice. Maybe we could break up those. Let's use a slope blur here, maybe with the clouds or a turbulent Perlin noise. Let's see how that looks. And don't want to have too much detail, so blend that in. It also gives us a bit more of this edge damage or edge wear. And let's also mask it a bit. Probably need a different noise. Just copy this, and it will generate a new seed, so it will hide different things than this blend. Maybe a bit too much. So I don't want to have it everywhere. We could also do a second pass, maybe. Yeah, I try to not spend too much time on this today. Let's maybe duplicate this again. And I want some coarser damage. Maybe we could reuse this one. The wrong input. Maybe like so. Let's maybe just add a clouds noise for details onto this. So with the vector warp, we make sure that it doesn't repeat. Like you can see, this is perfectly tiling or repeating itself. And like this, we can break it up so that we don't have the same detail starting on the other tile as it's ending on this one. Let's also do a blend or mask it. See how that looks. Not that nice. Right. You'd probably want to use a guided scatter node with a mask, with a mask input. And I think there's a Greek wave. So you could probably basically use any shape as your mask. Then use this as your mask input. Set that to grayscale, and let's just add a not a circle but a box. And when you input that, so probably something like that, right? And yeah, you can just use any input here. So when I change that, you could, for example, import a PNG file. So maybe that helps as a starting point. So YouTube says my bitrate for the sound is wrong. I guess you can still hear me well, right? Yeah, exactly, you could do that. Just drag and drop your image into the element graph here. Oh. Okay, great, thanks. Not sure what YouTube wants. You could also create it, for example, here with those curves and scatter them. But I think it's actually easier to just import it. Or faster. And you could maybe tile that. Yeah, not the nicest, but I think you get the point. But yeah, that would be how I'd approach it. And you can always go to the material library Yeah, you would. Let's just go back to this. You could, for example, just invert that. Make another one. And then blend those. Maybe we could scale it down a bit. Or let's even bevel and use that as our height input. No, not height input, but scale input. And we can do the same here. So you could do it like this. Did the wrong thing here. I wanted to do it as scale input. Yeah, you can do that at the end. You can use this as your mask and just add a color. And then blend those. I think you can also do some things with the color input. I know that's something different. But you could also use a gradient map, for example. And maybe gradient linear. Do it like that. Let's create some pause maybe. Let's do it quick with the pause 7 noise. Yeah, you're welcome again. If there's any questions left, do not hesitate to ask. Let's use this again. Correct. We could do more, maybe use the clouds noise and slope blur it with itself. The high value. That again. Just blend over. Maybe even subtract it. Yeah, maybe let's stop with the tiles and do a soil to blend it. into those gaps. Let's just use the shape generator here as well. Set it to grayscale. Circle. Circle. Make it bigger. Tile scatter. Set it to something like, I don't know, maybe 128. Go to position. And we still need to change the blend mode to maximum. And make those way bigger. And we also need luminance variance. Then I just use a directional warp on this and clouds heavy noise. Warp it like that. Could use a slope blur here as well. Hello, welcome. And let's use, I don't know, maybe we could just reuse this one. Let's blend in some, even this. Use a blend height node. And we need to use the levels on this and reduce the ranges. Yeah, it's actually like a combination of Substance Designer, Substance Painter, a bit of Substance Sampler and stuff like that. So we don't only have this node-based workflow here, but you can also paint texture assets like you would do in Substance Painter. And it has a few more project types as well. Maybe use the one with the edgeware already, but without the other wear. Actually, edit. Let's delete that. And invert that. Blur it a bit. And let's try to blend it over. Sorry, is my sound broken or? Or did you mean that? Okay, thanks. Because I just was wondering that Liluimit said that can't understand the words. Yeah, it's quite tricky, you know. I don't hear myself and I don't really know if everything's working fine or not. I can just hope for that. Where is the fractal sum? Ah, okay, so like that. Never mind, but you can see what I'm doing, so maybe you can, yeah, learn something as well. But glad to have you here. Thanks for watching. Doesn't look as bad, right? I think for a quick material, not that bad. Maybe add some cracks. I'm here already. Let's use a few slope blurs on that, or let's do it properly. So we warp them first, break the uniformity a bit. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going for, so glad that it's visible. Let's just reuse a noise from here. It's always good to reuse your noises when you can, because all of them have a processing time, and if you have a ton of nodes in a graph, it can get quite slow. Depends on the machine, of course, you are using, but it's always good to try to reuse as many as you can. It's crystals, I think. Yeah, so some quick cracks. Do we actually use here? This Berlin noise. I want something different. Maybe this one. Reduce the intensity. Actually, let's use a bevel on this. Just slightly so that it touches. Let's reuse the fractal sum again. Might be a bit too fine. Looks good, I think. I think the better idea is to invert that and just subtract. Use the levels first. I have to adjust this one. Yeah, true. Or something for the garden. I also want to break this up a bit. So let's reuse the vector verb. Thanks, appreciate it. And then let's also one of those. We don't want to have every tile cracked. And we can always use this histogram edit here to add more. Yeah, so maybe let's add some color to it. Let's start with actually for rocks and concrete and stuff like that. I like to blend a few of my maps first. And AO. Let's adjust it a bit to get some really nice details. And blend that on top. And let's also use a curvature map. I mean, if you know Substance Designer or Painter, for example, then it should be relatively easy to get used to. But yeah, if you are completely new, there is definitely a learning curve to it. So I'd say you'd need to watch a few tutorials and start with simpler things. So yeah, it takes a while to master, I think. And you always learn new stuff. This year is actually more like designer, but you also have the asset texturing project here, and you can load any mesh. I just have a cube. And yeah, then you could just work layer based like you would in Substance Painter. So this works as well. And yeah, you can just import any asset, any model that you want. So you have, a bit of everything. Or not a bit of everything, but it's basically like you would have Substance Designer, Painter, and Substance Sampler and a few other things combined in one tool. I'm not sure if I'm getting this correct, but there are different licenses. Like there's a free license, for example. There is subscription and perpetual as well. Need some colors. Let's maybe just use this. Yeah, not bad. That's a bit dark. It's an HCl node. Yeah, concrete is tricky. Yeah, that's great to hear. Again, you can just go to the website and yeah, create an account and download it and try it for free. Maybe let's make it a bit brownish. Yeah, awesome. If you like, just show me the results. Would be great to see. I also have a few different tutorials on different other materials. But this is, yeah, a bit a simpler one maybe. Not as simple. I wanted to keep it simpler as it is. Those bit of variance. Okay, great. Thanks for watching. Always happy about that. Maybe we can use this as the soil as well. Soil is darker, right? Yeah, that's really great to hear. Thanks. Yeah, but you can sculpt in Blender as well. It's maybe not as sophisticated as ZBrush, but it's also quite nice. Yes, I think I'll leave the stream online so you can rewatch it if you'd like. I don't really like the soil yet, but yeah, I'm streaming for quite a long time already. And it's quite late. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll have those details somewhere. Yeah, indeed, some of the brushes that ZBrush has, Blender doesn't. And yeah, those are quite some awesome brushes, so it's always a bit of a struggle to do things in one tool. Or follow a ZBrush tutorial and try to do it in Blender. I also have quite an old version. It was still perpetual. And I don't have a subscription. For ZBrush, I mean. Use the smudges crunch on that. Maybe material mask dust. These are normal. Height map, and I think I use this AO. Just to add a bit of extra detail. Not bad. Yeah, let's maybe finish our roughness map as well. So for roughness, I often like to invert my height map. Thanks. I'm not really used to creating materials like in 1 hour or so. I always like to take my time and, yeah, refine it until it's, yeah, refined. But yeah, that looks quite good actually. Yeah, again, if you are doing this every day, all day, at some point, you really know what you're doing. Or how to get to a certain result. I want to have a bit of those tiny stones that concrete sometimes has. And maybe we can use a normal flakes node. We need to make them way smaller. Yeah, study is all it takes. And when we use a normal combine, this is our detail, this is our base normal. And I don't want to have it on the soil. So I'll use the mask. Right. Just use it for the normal map. And this makes quite a nice shiny effect. Not sure if it's visible on the stream. But it creates little speckles. Maybe even a bit too strong now. Want to have it slightly in. Okay, so back to our roughness. Yeah, but there will be a day where it's maybe not easy, but yeah, you will probably know how to recreate every material that you see. At least to a certain extent. Want to subtract that so that those are rougher. Oh no, I want to add them actually. And also my cracks. And add those as well, but we also need to mask them with this one, I think. And finally, we add the grunge. Where now we'll also have some nice roughness variance in the material. Probably also need this here. And let's see, maybe we can make this shiny. Bit. But I think I like it rough. Rougher a bit more than when this would be shiny. Maybe let's change the environment. So this one is quite great. You can see the shiny parts quite good with this. So let's make some final touches with material effect dirt and material effect dust. And also let's use the water effect. This will make it shine a bit. And a material finalize. So this here is quite nice. This is the link category mode. And if you have a node that has multiple outputs, you can just connect them as it would be just one output and input. And then we need our map here, our AO, need the metalness. Normal map and base color. Connect those. Couldn't be metallic, so we turn that off here. Normal as base color. Set up the dirt a bit. bit of a grunge. Let's light up the color a bit. I don't really have a streaming schedule. I'm streaming from time to time, but I want to do it more often. I try to publish a video a week, but I don't stream that often. But yeah, I always plan to do it. I quite like it as you can talk to people like today, for example, but yeah, I'm missing quite a lot of time. So yeah, let's say I don't really have much time to stream, but I try to do it from time to time. Yeah, it's quite fun for me as well. Yeah, and the cool thing is we can always go back and, for example, adjust the scatter here or mess it up. Depends on what you do. Yeah, that's nice. Again, I try to stream a bit more often. Let's make this water effect parameter. Yeah, indeed. I don't like the soil too much. But yeah, this is now basically the part where it would take a lot of time to try to refine all the stuff. Maybe it needs a different color. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you can always bump it up in the settings here. But I think for this one, displacement factor 1, quite good. I mean, it's meant to be a pavement, so people want to walk on it. Maybe blend not curvature, but what I like to do is use a high pass, adjust it a bit, and blend that in at the end, but just slightly with an overlay. So this pronounces the edges a bit. It's just a slight effect. But what we could do is we could also use a normal to curvature. And here's our concave. I don't want to have too much of this effect, as it can make it look stylized quite easily. But when we blend that in, and in the best case, we can break it up. Clouds noise, for example. That. Then let's just reference, oh, even this brighter one. Yeah, not bad. I like it actually. And for the turn off the water for now. What's also quite nice, or might be quite nice for the soil, is the spots for noise. That. Just blend it in. Looks a bit like small stones. A bit much maybe. And this too extreme. Yeah, now the graph got quite messy. Reduce those a bit. Thanks, appreciate it. Again, I would have liked to have some plants or moss in those crevices here, or the gaps. But yeah, that would take a bit too long time. Okay guys, I'd say let's come to an end. If you have any questions, maybe I can still answer something. Otherwise, I need to go to sleep soon. the graph got quite a mess. Yeah, I like to look at, depends on what I want to do. I mostly look at real photos, but sometimes also on ArtStation, for example, for what other people did. And I tend to look at the beginning at those, but yeah, at some point I like to take my own route and include my own details so that I don't remake things one to one. But I also like to have a bit of a personal touch to the materials. But yeah, basically for every material I try to use a reference. And the best are from photos. So for example, I don't know if you see that I had this one as a reference. I looked at it at the beginning and wanted to do something similar. And this is what I came up to. But I didn't keep looking at it, so mine is now more brownish and looks a bit different. I don't have those plans. I wanted to do them, but this would take a bit too much time, I think. But yeah, also the great thing is we can always change the color. So I can use an HCl node on this. And for example, reduce my chroma. And we get more grayish tiles. The brownish one is from the other effects, like from the scrunch, for example. But yeah, we could adjust this as well. So that it's really dirty, for example. Look quite good, actually. Bit of color variance. Could maybe also crack some tiles. Reuse this. And in a clouds noise. That just slightly. Then use the histogram edit. And then I think. Into here. We could just crack some of them, for example. And we probably don't want to have all of them cracked. I just add this. Yeah, now we just have a few cracks. Yeah, always hard work to clean that up. Best thing is to yeah, work cleanly from the beginning, but as you can see, there's also always a time when you want to add stuff to that, and yeah, then it suddenly looks like that. Okay guys, let's come to an end. Again, it's quite late here and I need to sleep. So it was actually great that so many people were here today. I didn't expect that much people, especially that much yeah, chat interaction. So this was really fun and really awesome. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good night, good afternoon, good morning. And yeah, for the next stream, I don't know, I try to stream a few times in December maybe. So would appreciate it to see you guys again. And yeah, that's that I think. So thanks for watching and see you next time.